It's time to face all enemies.
It's time to rewrite history.
It's time to step up.
To stand tall. To take the crown.
It's time for a new era.
For the next wave.
It's time to strike fear.
To show no mercy.
It's time to settle this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany, home of the 2019 LEC Spring Split. We kicked off the new league yesterday with some explosive games, and now it is time for more action as G2 Esports and Schalke 04 face off in our very first game. It's my pleasure to welcome to you my co-host. I'm Eva Schalke supporter, but I'm joined by Indiana Frostcurrent Black and Daniel Dracos. Actually, let me stand corrected, co-host / play-by-play caster / rap god
yeah, thank you.
/ fashion
You don't need to
icon.
pad it. It's fine.
We're going
Okay.
for pretentious museum director now. I'm just going to be really judgmental the entire day about anything anyone does.
That's new to what you do already?
I'm loving this. We've got some new banter because, you know, we've upgraded our crew a little bit and changed it around. Our studio is brand new. The league is brand new. And we have a lot to talk about when it comes to yesterday. And it is too early to call anything definitively, but there are some frontrunners that came out of the gates swinging, namely SK Gaming, Splice, Schalke, Misfits, and G2. They all secured their first wins, giving them an early lead.
You mean we're not going with controversial statements? Throw it all out. The LEC
for
has
it.
been
You can say what you
decided.
like.
It's all about SK. I think that they were the huge surprise yesterday, toppling and taking down the Giants in Fnatic there. And I just hope that they continue on this momentous occasion, I feel.
Yeah, they just keep going there, hopefully with momentum. Hopefully we can see more of them today. But also I feel like Schalke hit the ground running. Not something
Sleeper.
I expected from this team overall. Rookie mid laner, you got a team that's really never played together, but they just looked so coordinated. It was really refreshing.
Yeah, fantastic from all of those. We also need to talk about Fnatic, our reigning champions, our world's finalists, off to a bad start versus a given very strong SK Gaming. What happened?
I just want to pump the brakes a little bit. Of course, there's going to be some teething or some growing pains when you lose massive powerhouses like SOAS and Caps. I think it's just a matter of time before you just keep putting in incredible ingredients into the Fnatic machine and they start to print more championships.
And honestly, they could have been down 0-2, so things worked out okay.
That is true. A lot happened, and there is a lot to unpack. And I believe Daniel Dracos is standing by to break down anything you may have missed.
I'm here. Well, yesterday was an incredible first day in the LEC, Shocks, and there are so many games that we could look at, but there's three that I specifically want to highlight. SK Gaming versus Fnatic. Look, no one's surprised. This game was incredible. SK's return to the league, making a massive statement saying, we are here, we are back, we are not to be underestimated. Their lineup as a whole looked absolutely incredible, but the top side does deserve some special praise as Warlib, Selfmade, and Pyrian were each outmatching their respective counterpart on Fnatic. Really all you need to know from this one is that El Clasico is back. It's looking better than ever. Now, next up, many Rogue fans may have wanted a similar upset in Rogue's game versus Misfits. The new EU Super Team, though, was not going to let it happen. After a 3,000 IQ jungle star from the Misfits lineup, Rogue were left a step behind. They found themselves staring down a Fed Draven, and not any Fed Draven, but Hans Sama's Fed Draven. This combined with some incredibly well-executed team fights and a little bit of Nexus diving BM towards the end did win Misfits today. An incredible performance for sure, but the most exciting by far would be Origin versus G2 Esports. Mithy and Origin, they hit the ground running. incredible early plays in the bot lane for the first 15 minutes. It really looked like Origen might be able to take it, that they might be able to do it. But once Jankos' Karthus came online, it was all over for Origen. They were ruthlessly picked apart by Caps' Jace, by Perks' Zoe, and the inevitable R button from Jankos. This man is just mashing it, reminding us that the days of Team Solo mid, yeah, they're long gone. But Team Duo mid seems to be working out just fine for G2.
There we go.
First day, though, for a lot of teams in the LEC. Also, the first day for Frosk.
You know what that means,
Special
Frosk.
challenge. You ready,
Yes.
Frosk?
It is time for the hot seat. You're gonna get in that DX Racer hot seat. Guys at home, if you haven't seen this yet, it is where we put someone in a chair and then we quick fire questions at them. They can be, you know, a little bit risque here and there. Who knows? I've got absolutely nothing on my cue card, so.
Let it be known that I have no idea what they're about to ask me.
All right.
Okay, let's start with.
Let's hit with the curveball. What's your name?
Yeah.
Ooh.
My full name?
Yes.
Yes.
It's Indiana Juniper Black.
Does it come from Indiana Jones?
It does come from Indiana.
Did you name yourself as a baby?
No.
Well, that would be badass.
That would be cool if you had a baby pick a name. Also, if you loved Indiana Jones as a baby, that'd be impressive.
Yeah.
Best Indiana Jones, then follow-up question.
Temple of Doom.
Wrong. Nice try, though. I appreciate the effort.
All right, let's get it on the LEC. Describe in 3 words how you liked your first day of LEC yesterday.
Excited, nervous, happy.
All right.
Positive.
2 of those words feel vaguely the same, but we'll give it to you anyway. Now, I'm curious. Who is the best AD carry in the world, and why is it Reckless?
Perks.
What? It's Reckless. The answer was Reckless.
Oh, sorry.
Keep it together. Other question. Shanghai versus Berlin. Which one do you like better?
Berlin.
Ooh, absolutely. Coming in hot there. Ooh.
Who's the most fashionable member of the LEC broadcast?
It's obviously me.
Ooh. Confidence, not
wanna
afraid to
stop
throw
right
the
here.
ego out there.
Yeah,
I know, we're
no,
going to have to
I like
slow
it,
her
I like it,
down.
I like it. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, let's say we have an LEC versus LPL World Final. Who are you rooting for, Frosco?
The LEC.
That's right. That's what we like to hear.
Nice. Who wins the spring split, rather, of the LEC?
Well, I have a tattoo bet on G2, so I hope they do.
All right, potentially the final question here for you, Frostgrowing. Let's say you're playing solo queue. You're duo queuing with me. There's a cannon creep and you miss it. Do you A, tilt off the face of the planet, or B, flame me for the entire game and never live it down?
I'm going to go with C. I'm ejecting myself from that lane. I'm going to go elsewhere on the map where we can actually win a game, Dracos.
All right. Last question. Who's going to be the best rookie to split?
Ooh, I'm actually going to go with Selfmade. I came in really hot and heavy on him yesterday, and I'm going to continue on that train, and it's excellent that he had such an incredible performance on day 1.
All right. Fantastic. She didn't even sweat.
No, she didn't.
What's
we
going on
tripped
here?
Ender up with multiple languages, though. I feel like we should have hit her with some more
Is it, you know,
languages.
you are in Europe now, so
all
if
right,
you want to
well,
say something as you
Exit your hot seat
German
as you return
or
to your
in
spot.
French.
Have you
Je
learned it?
voudrais une omelette
Yes,
avec
perfect.
fromage.
Yeah, I mean,
That's very
breakfast is
European.
always welcome. Yeah, fantastic. This chair
I-
might forever be here.
Do I need to?
No, you're good.
Actually,
It's a
this
fixture.
is just as valuable as having a Vedius there. We just put that
That's
chair
true.
there. No, just kidding. Yeah, thank you for playing ball. Of course, Frostgarden. We're super happy to have you on the crew. So what are your expectations for kind of the spring split in general? Do you think everything's going to get shaken up, or is it just going to be, as you say, the G2s and the Fnatic of this world that are going to ride it out?
You know, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to keep repeating it, and I honestly do believe it. This isn't just, you know, some BS PR of like, come watch our league. It's super exciting. No, I absolutely believe that there are so many teams in the LEC that can make a run for the championship, and it does make our league the most competitive it's ever been this split.
All right, and let's take a look at the matches we have up on the docket today. 5 more, of course. Yesterday, we already saw all the teams in action. So I want to ask you guys, who do you think has the most to make up for after yesterday? Who dropped the ball heavily, and who do you see returning today?
I mean, the easy answer is Fnatic, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, give me a less easy answer.
Less easy answer? Oh, it's really tough. I definitely want to see Vitality hit the ground running today. They need to make up for what I would call a false start yesterday. They look so completely lost. They lost all that aggression that we kind of loved to see from them last year. Absolutely want to see more of that today. They got Mowgli. They got a new jungler. I want them to just kill people in the early game. Show us a little more fire.
Agreed. Frosk?
I'd like to see Splice switch it up a little bit. You know, their play style kind of going back to the old school Splice when they have all of these new members. I want to see some more ingenuity injected into that roster.
We'll take a look. Of course, very important second day. You don't want to go 0-2, and you definitely want to go 2-0. Thanks, Captain Obvious Shocks. Now, we're also predicting, again, this split. And yesterday, we were praising StatsBot, our new AI high voter as this new candidate for Superior Analyst. However, he predicted 0 of the games correct on day one. And let's see, a 0. Nobody did that bad.
And what, it's like 3% chance that it would not get
happen.
a single game correct? Are we sure that we didn't like switch its settings, that it's actually trying to predict who's going to lose?
All I'm saying is this makes it that much more terrifying when we lose to StatsBot, because the first thing people are going to say is, do you remember when it went 0-5 in week 1 and then it still somehow beat you? Just be ready. Respect the robot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what he's got today, of course, and what we have and where there are the biggest discrepancies. Yeah, Origin votes are coming out. Froskuren, you must have seen something positive of them yesterday in that game. What do you expect them to take down Fnatic?
It was more so a lot of question marks around Fnatic. Because frankly, you didn't really get to see Origin play yesterday. G2 should be locked up. That was a murder, like someone dial 911 because it was just not fair to watch. And so hopefully Origin actually get to start and play some League today.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, the growing pains for Fnatic were fairly obvious.
Yeah, a lot of faith in Misfits across the board. Splice, StatsBot think that they are going to go 2-0, which would be very different from their records. They usually went 1-1 throughout all of last year. So there we go.
Actually is standing out to me, though, is that fan vote. The fact that the fans are really confident in Rogue still. And yes, Rogue did have everything go sideways on kind of a sketchy level 1 gank with Kikis. So, you know, not the greatest start, but a very easy fix to get a completely different performance. Whereas I'm looking at Kadril, and I'm actually really high on XL and Kadril's aggression.
For me, it's also a bit of a battle of the fan bases. You know, Rogue with that backing, with some of the fan favorites, and then XL with that UK lad culture.
And for the fan vote...
Oh my God, please don't ever make me say that again.
For the fan vote, it was actually 1 vote difference between Rogue and XL. So incredibly close. StatsBot erring on the side of the fans as well. And it's interesting to see that fan base rally, but also XL, such a young organization alongside Rogue, and they're already going even in these votes. For XL, though, I think you can see why. A lot of that early game was really good. You mentioned Kadril. Exile. We saw 1 good split from Exile. We said every split after that, all we want to see is for him to return to that form. That first game looks really good. Yeah,
we're looking for a couple of surprises here, and I'm very much looking forward to that last game of the day. It is also the match of the week between those 2 EU giants as Fnatic and Origin face off in a rematch of the 2015 Summer Finals.
When I think about the best final that the EU LCS has ever had, it was the Summer Splits in 2015, Fnatic versus Origin. It went to 5 full games, and it is one of my fondest memories of the EU LCS.
That previous in-hip fight may have been enough. Tibbers finds Beckett. Beckett does not have time. He's down. He's down. Double kill for Huni. Triple kill for Huni. That's the game.
I'm even more excited that Fnatic versus Origin is the match of the week to debut the 2019 LEC. 2 fan favorites of the league, but things could not be more different. Between 2015 summer and now, Origin, they were relegated from the league. They've had to rebuild their organization. And the only returning member is Miffy, and he has to rebuild his reputation after a struggling year in North America.
I don't come here to please anyone other than myself and my own expectations and what I work for, and that's really what drives me to be better, not what other people think.
The organization behind Origin is the same organization behind the #1 CSGO team on the planet. They also have Expecca and Deficio to build, nurture, and develop Origin.
I want to see the veterans, the mature players we have on this team really show up on stage together. I don't care if you meet Fnatic in week 1, week 5, or week 10 or whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to beat them anyway. So facing them early, perfect.
Fnatic take to the 2019 season with a gigantic change in the mid lane. Their star player, Caps, is gone. Fnatic have picked up a mid laner from the LVP, and he's stepping into gigantic shoes. The one benefit that Nemesis has is he's surrounded by an all-star cast. 4 of Fnatic's 5 members that made it to the World Championship final.
I was a big part of why Nemesis ended up joining our team, because I fully believe in him, and I think he's going to be the next big thing.
Youngbuck will be at the helm of developing the new talent in Nemesis. Youngbuck is called the 6-star general because of his 6 consecutive European titles.
While I have extremely high expectations of Whipple, I think he's proven himself on an international level. I think it's about time that Alfari was able to show that he is worthy of being in the conversation of one of the best in Europe. And you have 2 pretty solid veterans now having to learn to cooperate. So the fact that you have Nemesis going up against NukeDuck will be a big telling as to how well Nemesis can hold up against some of the veteran talent in our region. Mithy, I have confidence in, will be able to prove something in that matchup and will be able to show that he still has some of the fire that he had.
And if Origin step up and deliver against a world finalist Fnatic, this could be the rebirth of that rivalry.
Oh, awesome video and awesome matchup. Yeah, just the implications, what Trevor said there. Yesterday, they didn't win Origin. No sweat, no problem. But to get your first win in your first week and to do it possibly over Fnatic, this would propel them into the rest of the spring split.
For me, not all championships are created equally, and it just felt like the storylines, the talent, how it was all combining together, Fnatic Orange versus Fnatic Black, like that one was the best. You couldn't script a better soap opera to how that ended, and now I just want both orgs to get back into form and to redo it again.
I mean, to be fair, that feels like it single-handedly created the LCS script.
Oh, yeah.
It means
Yes.
just how perfect that final was, how much we wanted to see it. And when I look at these two players facing each other, Reckless versus Mithy, when Mithy was on top with G2, Reckless never got to touch the top of Europe again. When he was with Origin, Reckless beat him every time. So now there's so much history between these two guys. I just want to see them go toe-to-toe one more time.
Yeah, and they are also the only two returning players actually on the Rift since that 2015 final. And just if we talk about Mithy a little bit more, it is just so crazy. He didn't have the best time in NA. We don't have to keep saying it. For me, this is a new Mithy. What did you see from him yesterday, and where do you think he can go, and how high is his ceiling in this split?
I mean, for the 10 minutes that Origin got to be competitive in their game across from G2, you saw incredible things from Mithy. He constantly was picking up the kills. He was hyper aggressive in that lane as Morgana. Now, you can also say Mithy probably should have given the kills over to the other, carry members, but that said, he came to play.
He pushed Ignite. It was out of his hands. And at the end of the day, the reason we don't have to keep talking about the lackluster split in NA is because his first game was so good. And if he keeps putting up his performances, it just doesn't matter anymore. It's old news. The new Mithy is here, and I hope he's here to stay.
Absolutely. What an absolutely huge matchup, our match of the week. And there will also be a POV stream featuring Whippo. He didn't have the best day yesterday, so I'm sure he will want to show us something crazy in some of his mechanics. Hopefully not too much of that overextending. We've sometimes...
It was a little gray. It'll be more colorful.
Yeah, we'll see today. Now, next up for something completely different, our NA, soon-to-be EU resident Ender. He caught up with the senior champ designer for Riot Games and to get inside info on what happens behind the scenes in League of Legends.
Yeah. No, I'm not on the show this week. Nope. I'm still in LA, just for a little while. What? Oh, sorry, I gotta go. Hello everyone, I'm Christy Ender Frierson here with Riot champion designer. Sorry, it just says your birthday here. It says it's August.
That's my name. August.
The name is August. Okay, Riot August, champion designer here at Riot Games. So talk to me a little bit about what you do, what projects you've worked on.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a champion designer at Riot. I work on champion mechanics, and so the characters that I've made in the past were Vi, Jinx, Gnar, Jhin, and Echo, and currently I'm working on an update for Kayle and Morgana.
Yeah, so speaking of Gnar, have I ever told you how much I just really like that character?
No, you haven't actually.
Good. Says here you were recently promoted to senior champion designer. I'm sure that must have been quite the accomplishment for you. And I'm wondering, is that because of your bold decision to give Jhin a 4-hit passive, as opposed to the regular 3? Nope, got old. Okay, tough crowd. You mentioned you were working on the new. I want to get this right. So you're working on the new Kayle rework.
It's Kayle. It's pronounced Kayle, like the vegetable.
Like the vegetable that no one eats. Okay. So with Kayle, what's been a challenge working on that type of a project?
Well, with updates, there's a lot of challenges. Probably one of the biggest one is paying enough respect to the old kit while bringing it into the current state of League of Legends.
So it wasn't making sure she has 100% pick ban in pro play? Nope.
No.
Nope. That would probably be pretty easy for you guys, though. I mean, you guys didn't struggle with that last year, and definitely was true of Worlds.
Speaking of Worlds, Where were you? Champion design. They can actually come from so many different places. Some champions come from a drawing that an artist would have made. So Vi, for example, was this punk chick from Piltover with these giant Hextech gauntlets. And we ended up making that character from that art. And we started from there, and eventually...
But this is from the Annie cartoon we did last year. Remember, it's a little fairy tale story about a girl and her teddy bear. I don't know why, it always just puts a smile on my face whenever I remember that video. It's like all those bad thoughts, you know, they just sort of slip off and drift away down the river. Yeah. But you recently were talking on Twitter about the Kale and Morgana changes, and said you were going to make them sharks. Did you come up with that in the same meeting that you decided to take 5 movement speed off of Aurelia?
Okay,
that was a great one, I'm sure.
League of Legends is a game of milliseconds, right? Like changes like that are really important.
My rights here, you know, I got that flight to catch. I'm sure you of all people understand.
Yeah, hold on. If you're at home,
that was so good.
Go find Ender on whatever social media platforms he's active on. That's the first time we've seen that. That was the most uncomfortable, like, 4 minutes of my life. What an achievement.
Also, you know, he's on his way. Now I want him here to do these things and, like, make you guys all awkward. Maybe.
I love that. When it was originally pitched, I wasn't entirely convinced, but Ender, his interview skills are perfect.
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to see so many interviews here in Europe.
He's coming for you, Shocks. Really. I hope you're ready for some uncomfortable worlds interviews.
I know you're deflecting, but you wanted to wear a chain yesterday.
I did. I was told I couldn't. He got to wear a chain.
Wear it. So you're feeling intimidated AF right now.
Well, I think we all are after that performance.
I'm very intimidated.
I'm scared. Like, I didn't know Ender could do any of that. He's going to take all our jobs. But we still want you to be here, so get on that flight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, of course. But now, back to, you know, the players, the people that are actually important in the LEC. And our first game of the day, G2 and Schalke. They look to start off the season with a 2-0, and now, well, it's not hard to get excited about this matchup after yesterday because both teams started out very strong. I want to start by talking about Schalke, though. Everything changed for them, right? They had that run. They built up the entire year, made it to finals at the end, and then they changed everything, built around Upset as well as everything behind the scenes, and they look like a completely new team. What did you think of their day one performance?
Well, I was definitely one of the people who was skeptical when you put this new lineup together. But honestly, they looked so good across the board. Upset continued to be his old self, carrying through on this Ezreal. And really, when you look at a lot of these pieces, they're coming together so much faster than pretty much anyone expected them to.
And the key figures for me that really stood out were Memento and Ignar. When we think back to Schalke of last year, their playstyle was very much more about scaling, much more about laying for the late game team fights. But this Schalke shows that they're all about early game aggression, looking for plays. And it comes from the fact that Memento and Ignar work so well together to make these kind of plays happen. So in this new environment, they seem to be finding success together.
Yeah, that is perhaps the most exciting thing, and that is nothing about last year's lineup, but I love that Ignar and Memento are working together, making those early aggressive moves happen, and it netted them their first win over Vitality. But now, Schalke is up against G2 Esports, and Upset, the franchise player, is up versus Perks, who didn't even play an AD carry yet. So what do you guys think is going to happen?
I mean, this honestly for me is just so exciting. We saw Upset on his signature Ezreal yesterday. He is still just as good as when we saw him at the end of last split, even better probably, going up against Perks, who is new to the role, who played Zoe yesterday. So I just want to see first what they're going to pick, and then if Perks can go toe-to-toe.
And expectations are pretty high on Perks right now because many fans voted for him to be one of the best AD carries by the end of the split, knocking Upset out of that position. And while we didn't even see an AD carry from him yesterday, it brings into question what he and the rest of G2 will actually bring to the fold today.
Yeah, let's dive a bit deeper into that, because this was a team composition that they ran yesterday and frankly ran over OG with. So how is this flexibility going to work for them in the future?
Honestly, right now, I don't think there is any team in the league that should feel comfortable drafting against G2 because we cast this game, Vedius, and up until that final Jace pick, we had no idea where anything was going to go. We had a Zoe, we had a Karthus, there was an Urgot that could have been flexed. Rakan is the only pick that was locked till that final pick. So anyone who's going up against this G2 lineup has to be terrified of these incredibly deep, incredibly varied champions.
I had the opportunity to speak to Grabs in the makeup room just before the game, and he was like, do you know how stressful it is being in Champ Select with these 5 players? Because you get to the second half of the draft, and he's like, ooh, I can play this top. No, I can play this mid. No, I can play this jungle. No, it's fine. I can play this top. And like, they're all so excited and happy to be playing with each other, but they also have such deep champion pools that they can literally play any champion anywhere.
Yeah, I believe that Perks and Caps were being interviewed by Laure yesterday, and they also said something of the sort of like, you know, we kind of calm down sometimes because now you have Perks, you have Wonder screaming, now you have Caps saying, Vayne, 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 Vayne. So it's just like, well, can I play it? So I don't envy Grabs' job, and in some way I do, because he has so much versatility to play with. So I know we don't want to jump too far here, but this G2 looks very promising like this because we haven't even seen the AD carries in the bottom lane.
I think the meta suits them right now when it's so revolving around flex champions and champions that can move into a variety of different roles. The fact that they have so many skilled players that are all capable of playing all these champions means that they can just constantly adapt on the fly with the draft. And with so many picks not even shown yet in Europe, I'm really excited to see what they bring out. We saw Ornn earlier in the day from Griffin. Yeah. Like, I know Mickey's the kind of guy that loves these edgy support picks.
Griffin doesn't have anything on these G2 drafts right now. Yeah. Griffin pulls out an edgy support every other game. I'm sorry, every pick was pretty much edgy in this draft. And for me, it just confirms everything that we wanted to see from this G2 lineup. Yes, we do not know the limits of their team play yet, but the mechanical skill that we were promised from such an all-star lineup is clearly there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring it back into this matchup where G2 is taking on Schalke. First question, do you think in this one we will see an AD carry from G2? Yes or no? Up versus upset?
I think it very much depends on what the bans look like, because...
Would you want to see it? Let me put it that way.
I would want to, yes. I want to see what Perks and Mickey look like in a standard 2 versus 2. I want to see how they hold up against Upset and Ignar down in the bot lane. And I actually think you could have quite an exciting matchup because Ignar and Mickey are both quite mechanically intensive playmakers, and they try to create these opportunities in bot. So I think we could, and what I'd love to see is a Lucian versus Ezreal in the bot lane, Perks with the famous Lucian and Upset with his Ezreal. Okay. I think could be an that would be, in my head, the ideal bot lane.
I'm with you. It's a dream, but also if I'm like, I look at the strongest member on that Schalke lineup and it's Upset, and I go, hey, Perks, you played Zoe and you kind of just chilled for the first 15 minutes. Do you want to try that one more time? I mean, that feels like the easy path to victory for me.
That's very true.
Well, a lot of players on Schalke had a fantastic day one. Same for G2. These are 2 teams that are on form, and I can't wait to see the match. And for a bit more insight on G2, Laure caught up with their coach, Grabs. Let's see what he had to say.
Thank you very much, Shox. Laure here backstage, and I was joined with the G2's coach, Grabs, ahead of their game against Schalke today. Thank you for joining me. Great start from you guys yesterday. What did you think about your players' performance?
I was kind of surprised that the game went that slow, because judging from scrims, we're a bit of a wild bunch. So seeing 0 kills within like 10-15 minutes, I was really surprised. But then afterwards, we picked up the pace as we were supposed to do, and then afterwards, clean performance.
And you had the perfect draft to succeed. I mean, the multiple flex picks, the poking composition, the Karthus in the jungle. Would you say that this type of comp is ideal for G2, and why?
I really think we're not a comp-bound team. Usually we have a rough idea what we want to do in the first phase, and then we see where it goes from there. I'm blessed with many players who can play basically every champ if they want to. Therefore, as I mentioned, the flex picks, I can use them at full potential. So therefore, I wouldn't say we wanted that comp, it just happened.
And you can clearly see that the team is clicking already. I mean, I was talking to Perks and Caps yesterday on the bench. They were having so much fun. What did you think Caps bring to this new version of G2?
Caps, first of all, adds another vocal player in the game, which we had some issues with in the past, especially from bot side. But now Perks is on board, Caps in the middle. That means the information flow is very good in the game. I would not say he's calm and calming down, but at the same time, sometimes he's the guy who sees the engage, right? He sees, like yesterday, for example, he called the engage on Patrick, the first one, because his view on the game is just really insane. So therefore, he sees engages others might not see. And that just makes us a better team overall, of course.
And we'll be looking to see more of them today. You'll be playing Schalke next.
Yeah.
Is there something you can tell me about your strategy maybe against Schalke?
I mean, it's no secret that they're a bot side focused team. We're going to be prepared for that, not give them any inch on bot side, and hopefully show an equally dominant performance like yesterday.
All right, good insight. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck on this
Thank
match.
you.
And for more on this game, let's send it directly to the casters, to you guys.